7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
All right, welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. Sitting here in studio. It is championship week in the NCAA. I'm very excited. This is one of my favorite weekends because we've got playoffs shaping up in both NCAA and NFL. And it's just an all-around good weekend. The weather's changing. It's getting a little chillier. And we've finally got Mr. Tony Johnson in studio for the first time in a little while.
He's back, yes.
Yeah. I was beginning to think the actual physical specimen of you didn't exist anymore. You
Yeah,
were
it was just a voice somewhere.
A spirit. Yeah.
No, I'm here, and I'm with you. I like the. I know it's kind of a money grab for these conferences, and that is what it is. But I actually do like the conference day Saturday too. I think it's a fun time. I know a lot of teams are obviously playing each other for the second time, so that kind of puts sort of a weird spot, especially with the Cincinnati-Memphis game, which we'll get to because they just played last week. But
Right.
I actually kind of enjoy seeing teams play a second time, especially if the first one was entertaining and a different way to prepare and stuff like that. I think you just find out a lot about coaches and things like that when they face a team for a second time.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely makes especially if the losing team from the first matchup beats the winning team, it definitely makes for what I like to call the doomsday scenarios for the playoff committee to have to consider, especially, again, we'll talk about all the games, but especially the Oklahoma-Baylor game and how it has very, very big playoff implications.
Yes.
So, anyways, let's thank the sponsors here real quick. Again, Vegas Squares Podcast. 12-Ounce Sports Radio is one of our sponsors. They put us on every Friday evening and Saturday morning for the NCAA, and NFL is on Sunday mornings. Also, Seat Giant, promo code 12-Ounce Sports for discounted sport, concert, and theater tickets. All right, so let's talk about that. The top four, currently as it stands, Ohio State 1, LSU 2, Clemson 3, and Georgia 4. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, that seems. If I had to rank the teams, I would certainly have Ohio State 1. I do think that they've just rolled everybody, and I don't know how you couldn't have a team like that on the number one spot. You know, LSU being the top team at this current juncture, certainly in the best conference, I think puts them at a nice two-hole. Although it's just so hard to say because I know Clemson has played this sort of weak schedule, but I do think that they are an incredibly good team still. So it's hard to know where to put a team like Clemson because they haven't played the schedule nearly as close.
For sure, and they feel so slighted. And I started to kind of sympathize with Dabo when some of the stuff was a little bit unnecessary. But hey, they're the defending national champions. Alabama wouldn't be getting this kind of slight.
It's probably true.
Yeah, it probably is true. That's where he kind of lost me, though. He was like, they don't want to see us in. Of course they want to see. Trevor Lawrence is TV.
Yeah.
TV.
You're right. He's wrong about that. They do want to see him in, for sure. I don't understand that.
But if you do happen to trip up in this week's schedule, we cannot justify putting you in. However, they would be finishing 12-1. I, based on my criteria, would not put them in because, again, if you cannot win your conference, you do not deserve to be in a 4-team playoff for the best team in the nation. That being said, I was thinking that too. I was like, Clemson should be number one, but you're right. Ohio State has looked fantastic. LSU has looked even just as fantastic as well. You're going to have probably the Heisman Trophy winner coming from one of those two teams, more than likely LSU. And I don't look at it as a slight. I think you're effectively 1C. All three teams are 12-0. All three teams have done exactly what was expected of them. Your only blemish is a 1-point win versus North Carolina, which is what everybody's remembering, and the fact that through no fault of your own, your conference is terrible.
Yeah, and they scheduled 2 SEC teams this year, so it's not like they didn't do anything outside of the conference. They really did what they could, I think. So
right,
it's hard to punish these guys.
You beat the only team that Georgia's lost to.
Yeah,
handedly.
Yes. Wow, that loss is really, really rough.
That's the only talking point against Georgia. I mean, we talked about it. I mean, if we get our way, you and I, we might not get it with that because if Georgia wins against LSU, they're not going to be the number 4 seed.
No, I think it'll flip. I think they'll be in the 2-3ish range, and LSU will go down to 4.
Which is unfortunate because
they don't want
if standings held right now, we would get that matchup you and I have been looking for a year.
Yes, it's true. It's very true.
But we're not going to get that unless it's a national title game, more than likely.
I agree with that. I thought about that too. Yes, I agree.
Mm-hmm. But we were talking about this last week when you were on the phone, you and Token. By the way, Token was unable to make it this week. Something about being whipped and chained and handcuffed. And
things happen.
Yeah, he's got new love. You can't hate on the guy, I guess.
You can, but
yeah, whatever.
We'll let him go.
Yeah, we'll let him have his honeymoon phase.
Yes.
We talked about doomsday scenarios, and so you don't see a way where no matter what Ohio State or LSU do, they're in the playoff.
Ohio State or what Ohio State, or they're outside of the playoff? Yeah.
Regardless of the outcome of Saturday, you believe Ohio State and LSU are in the playoff?
100%, yes. I actually do think Clemson will still get in too. I'm not, because again, you would have assessed the rankings differently than I would do it. You need teams to win conferences, and that's fine. I am just trying to quantify the best 4 teams, and I think that Clemson, despite the fact that if they would lose as a 29-point favorite, I do think that they're one of the best 4 teams in college football.
Right. On paper, talent-wise, I would agree with you 100%. Again, I follow just one simple rule.
But the committee may not get them in, though. I mean, you're right. That could be an issue.
But if Clemson were to lose and then LSU holds serve and beats Georgia, that opens the door for Big 12 and Utah.
Yeah, it's possible. It is entirely possible. That's right.
Provided, obviously, one of Utah or Oklahoma and Baylor win, and provided Utah obviously beats Oregon tonight, which we're recording on Friday. So I'm interested to see how we get that analysis of the Pac-12 championship game on our Saturday podcast.
Yeah.
See how that goes. I always like to do that. If we preview any Friday night games, I always like to see how good or bad we did.
Absolutely. I'm ready. I don't know, for good or better or worse, I guess. Yeah.
I want to go off on a tangent from the top 4 here because, and generally I've always subscribed to the motto, like, honestly, after like 6, I don't care where you put anybody. However, I don't believe Alabama should have slid 7 spots.
No, I mean, they're 5 spots lower than Baylor, and Baylor has struggled to win 6 games this year against a lot of middling Big 12 teams. It's not. The ranking system is always really, not ideal.
I mean, where would you? Somebody asked me, they're like, where are they going to be? I would have slotted them 8 to 10. Again, theoretically, ultimately doesn't matter, but I feel like they put them behind Auburn, a 9-3 Auburn team, because they moved Auburn up to 11. They said, well, we can't have Auburn behind Alabama because they beat Alabama.
True.
But is it a combination of the loss to Auburn and there's no Tua, so they just,
yeah.
Because it doesn't really, the ranking doesn't affect what bowl's going to come for them. I mean, I don't think they're going to be in a New Year's Six bowl.
The top 10 are guaranteed to be in a New Year's Six, but obviously other teams get in post the top 10. So I guess that's the only thing that I know that is for sure. If you're one of those non-big time powerhouse teams, being in the top 10 does matter quite a bit.
And obviously for financial reasons too.
Yeah, of course, that's what I'm saying. So like Baylor wouldn't necessarily get into a New Year's Day bowl unless they're in the top 10. So it's interesting to see if they do lose to Oklahoma, how far they drop. I think that's a big point for Baylor.
Or vice versa.
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe Oklahoma does drop more. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah. Yeah, but I agree. I don't really care that much about and the rankings have always not been a big point for me because, as of the last couple of years, I do my own rankings, so I don't really care what else is going on. I kind of follow it just to see what the public's doing and what people are thinking about. But to me, it doesn't really matter that much. And I think you're right. Certainly for the group of 5 teams to be the highest ranked group of 5 team, obviously is important. But there's not a whole lot there. Right.
So yeah, it just kind of seems strange to me that ranking sliding 7 spots because they've lost 2 games, which we see their record's 10-2, to the current number 11 and the current number 2 by a grand total of 8 points.
Yeah, exactly.
And their starting quarterback, who was a Heisman candidate, was not available for one of those.
Yeah, 100%.
So
yeah.
And as much as I could give 2 shits about Alabama, I think that's blasphemous.
Correct. I agree. Yes.
So, all right. Well, I just wanted to give them a little love. Tell them at least someone's thinking about you.
Oh, that's nice.
God, could you imagine what Tuscaloosa's been like in the Alabama practice facilities? Those coaches can't be loving life.
I would
10-2.
so.
They're 10-2, and it's got to be one of a gloomier season in the Saban era.
Very much so, and they're going to get a subpar, New Year's Bowl or New Year's Eve Bowl maybe.
He might be right for the picking to fade in the New Year's Bowl too.
Entirely possible. That's one of those that we'll get into the bowl season at some point, in the coming weeks. But see what's going on, what people are saying. It's very important to see what the players and coaches are saying about those games because you can garner a lot from that.
Yeah, most definitely. Speaking of games, the podcast where you were in the sports book, while I thought that would be great, it
didn't come out. Okay,
it did not come out.
Oh, I didn't listen to it yet. Okay.
It was an interesting one. But my favorite part of it was though when you said "goddamn touchdown" and we had no idea what you were talking about.
Oh yeah, I don't remember which game it was, but yeah, it was rough. So. I was fading an under, I think. Surprise.
Surprise! Yeah.
I think it was Northwestern Illinois, but yeah. That's good stuff.
So, all right, well, let's talk about it because obviously we will be getting the Final Four on Tuesday, which we will not be on the air before then.
I think it's Sunday. Sunday.
Or excuse me, Sunday. Yeah, Sunday, because the final selection goes on Sunday.
Yep.
If it stands to reason right now, I guess that would be giving away some of your picks for the championship games, but do you believe we're on a crash course for Ohio State LSU?
For the eventual title game?
Correct.
Not necessarily, because I do think that if they lose to Georgia, they could very well fall to the 4, and then we get the Ohio State
in the
right away.
Semifinal.
But are those the two best teams in my opinion? Yes, I do. Although it's hard to rank Clemson because of their schedule. But yes, I do think those are the two best. So, in theory, what you're saying, yes, if LSU faces Clemson in the first playoff game, I do think they have a pretty strong advantage in that game. Actually, I think they match up pretty well in that one. So yes, I would expect that, and I'm not sure Georgia can beat any of those three teams at all. And I have Georgia money in a future bet, and so I would like to say different, but I don't. I don't think they can. So yes.
So, all right, well, let's talk about the Friday night game because as we come on the air on Friday night, this one will be starting up real soon, and it is Utah versus Oregon from Levi Stadium in Santa Clara, California. Exciting nugget. This game, in its fashion, the Pac-12 championship, will be here next year for the foreseeable future at the new Raiders Stadium. Have they named that stadium yet?
Allegiant.
Oh, like the airline?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. They paid, so.
Yeah, hey, they put up the money.
Yeah.
I've never actually flown Allegiant, but I haven't heard great things.
No, it's a very subpar. Yeah. But they fly to all the small airports, and this is their biggest hub now, so yes. I guess
right on.
Putting their name out there.
So Utah, I know that you are going to have to take off the Utes hat because I know you got a lot of money going on with their future.
Mm-hmm.
They're 6.5-point favorites right now. The total is 46.5 or 46, depending on where you look. At this point, regarding Oregon, the Justin Herbert Heisman hype is now over. So he's going to utilize this game plus the bowl game, I would assume, if he's going to play the bowl game.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, exactly, depending on what bowl game they go. They went to like the Netflix Bowl last year. So
yes, that will be interesting. Although it looks like they might get in the Rose Bowl no matter what, win or lose here. But yeah, we'll see. Who knows?
Well, that's if Utah is put in the playoff, I would imagine, correct?
Correct. Yeah, if you get Utah winning and then they go in the playoff, then yes, they'll go to the Rose Bowl. Yes, that's right. Yeah, I guess if Utah wins and doesn't get in, then yeah, you're right. That would not be ideal. That'd be the doomsday scenario for Oregon because a Rose Bowl is a big deal.
Yeah, it is especially for Pac-12 teams. You're absolutely right. But anyways, he'll be focusing on obviously impressing NFL scouts. This is a big stage because it's the only college football game on tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, we know Utah's design, defense, Zach Moss, and Tyler Huntley not making mistakes. The question is really, Utah has been a very good team with the exception of one blemish, and obviously that's the USC, and that's really probably the only reason people are even considering Utah for not being in the playoff, I think. But Utah's 9-3 against the spread this year, 4-1 on the road, even though this is technically a neutral site game. They still have to travel, and I think Oregon's fan base will probably be a bigger fan base than Utah.
Unsure about that. Utah travels extremely well.
Fair, but this game's only like 6 hours from what the hell is the name of the damn city?
Eugene. San Francisco?
No.
Eugene. Oh, from yeah. I mean, but Utah has it's a wealthy fan base, and they do travel well. So I'm not sure. You might be right that they might have a few more fans, but in regards to loudness, and I think it'll be roughly about even. I would guess.
All right, Oregon 6-6 against the spread this year. Again, this is going to be a fun game. I'm not sure you have an offense that can be high flying in Oregon, but at the same time has shown signs of just trying to play small ball. Their defense has been very Jekyll and Hyde this year. The under in the last 4 games that Utah has played on Friday is undefeated, 4-0. So I don't know what that means toward this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But you have a total that's relatively low, especially for an Oregon game.
It is. Yes. I think the matchup dictates the total, and I looked at this. This is my largest bet of the week. So we're going to really find out how good we are on the Saturday morning podcast. But I unfortunately looked at this thing a little late. It opened around 50 at most places, and that would have been late on Sunday, the previous Sunday. And I wish I had been on point, and I was expecting to be on point, but I didn't get going until about late Monday, and it already moved down a couple of points. So I was upset about that. I just think the matchup really dictates this to be a grinded-out kind of slugfest game. While Oregon's defense has been maligned at times, that was really earlier in the season. They have come on strong in the last 2 or 3, 4+ weeks.
Right.
They had a couple of tougher games against some high-powered offenses, but besides that, they've done really well. And again, Utah has been no match for anybody in this conference. Yeah, they lost the USC game was tough, but they did lose Zach Moss in that game early in the second quarter, and I think that threw him off a little bit. No excuse, not giving excuses. Just it was a tough loss for them. He is their best offensive player, but I think both lines for both of these teams. I mean, these are some of the elite players that we'll even see in the NFL in the next couple of years. But I like the under a lot in this game. The weather's supposed to be really bad, not just rain, but actually excessive wind, 20 to 25 miles an hour. And this is going to sound kind of weird. I don't actually like that in regards for this total. I'd rather this be more of a game played out how I kind of think it's going to be played out in normalish conditions, because I really think that Utah is going to take the air out of the ball here and try to control the possession more so than they have even in previous games. But again, I mean, this is an Oregon team that has come on strong, especially defensively. Herbert is capable. I'm not a fan of his. I do not think he is a next level player, but certainly he is a capable player when he's on point.
I'm not crazy, but it's interesting to hear that because everybody else believes he is.
Yes. Well, he's never taken the next step forward. He's been this guy, this anointed, fellow the last couple of years. Then he came back, for this extra senior season, and people were, all over crazy about it. I didn't understand how he could even go to the draft last year. So I don't know. I mean, it just is. I'm not a fan of his, but I like the team. I like the team a lot. The difference for me, and why I still think that Utah is the right side here, is the coach. The head coach, to me, you have one of the top 3, top 5 coaches in college football with Kyle Whittingham. He has been as good as it gets for now, a decade plus at Utah. And Mario Cristobal is the opposite. He makes a lot of in-game mistakes. He's not great at managing the clock. He's not great at halftime adjustments. He is subpar. Maybe not Clay Helton bad, but he's bad. So that's where I think the difference will be in this game. Close game. I have it 24-20 Utah, so that's where I stand on this one. So I guess I'd be taking the points if I had to with Oregon, but I do like the under in this game.
Yeah, I got confused for a second because you said that you were on the Utah, but you're on the under, right?
I'm on the under. Oh. Yeah, the under is my play. It's the biggest play I have this week, and then I have these future tickets for Utah. So obviously I'm hoping for Utah, of course. Although I know there's a lot of weird stuff that can happen with the playoffs, so I'm not.
Well,
I'm
you
not
have
counting
Utah
anything.
at what?
300 to 1, yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I assume a hedge is going to be happening if they make the playoff.
They make the playoff, yeah. I got to get there first.
Of
yes.
course, yeah.
Yes. No, I'll start at the playoff. But
I will say this: if they win this game by 1 or a million, barring Georgia, not winning, they're in.
I would hope you're right, but the odds makers don't believe that, and I tend to not want to go against the odds makers. They've come to, or Oklahoma's come down to 10-1, 15-1 a lot of places, and Utah's remaining around 30-1 right now.
Maybe they have a hand in doing that to keep Utah out because they got a lot of money on futures tickets.
It is possible. Do you
think that Vegas shapes the committee's?
No, I think they shape the odds because of liability for futures. Yes, you're. That's probably what's going on.
I'm saying a committee member says, "Hey, well, if I put Utah against Ohio State, they're 19-point dogs. But if I put Utah against Oklahoma, they're
possible that comes in. Possible that comes in. I know that it matters.
Because we know they're looking for exciting TV.
They are, and they want to make sure that fan bases
whether we agree with that or not.
Yes. Oh, I agree. No, it's something is there. And again, Utah facing Ohio State, I'm not quite sure how close they can keep that game, but that would be the best defensive line that Ohio State has faced. That I will say. I think Utah might have the best defensive line in college football. They are that good. So that's something. But Ohio State has rolled everybody, so I'm not going to step in front of Ohio State and be like, oh, yeah, this is the matchup we want. No, I mean, come on, they're crushing everybody. Until that doesn't happen, I'm not going to get in front of it because that's kind of silly in my opinion. So.
Well, again, that's the question. Utah plays defense and runs the football and protects it and plays solidly.
Yes.
Whereas Oklahoma is a high-flying offense that doesn't necessarily play defense, so they're thinking they're just going to run up and down the field with Ohio State, and this game's going to be 74-72.
I don't think they can score that much against Ohio State. Ohio State's defense is really elite.
I agree with you, but I'm saying at some point, like you said, with Notre Dame, getting crushed by Clemson, someone had to get in, whether we believe...
Yes.
Whether we believe they're going to be competitive, someone has to get in. Who's going to make for, like you said,
I'm not
revenue dollars, travel, travel and preparation, things like that.
I don't see any of these 4 through 7 being.
The playoff games are Fiesta and Peach this year.
Yes.
The semifinals.
Yeah.
So obviously, you would want a 1 versus 4, or if you had 1 versus 4, if Utah was the 4, do you really want Ohio State's fans going all the way out to Arizona? Or do they want to go to Atlanta? See, that's a tough thing. But then you have Utah's fans going all the way over to Atlanta, where you could just have Oklahoma because it's obviously a lot closer.
I think whatever side they go, I think the fans will go there. I unquestionably believe that they will go.
Right.
These are good.
I tend to agree that you know that, but again, the committee, what do they know?
I don't know. I'm not sure what their ideas and their mindset is. I don't know. It's true. I don't.
Yeah, it's tough because the thing is, obviously, if it's 1 and 2 LSU and Ohio State, LSU is going to go out west to the Fiesta Bowl. That's my belief.
Really? Okay.
I think Ohio State would stay here. Well, you know what? Now that I think about that, I think when I say here, we're in Vegas. I think Ohio State would stay east.
Okay. LSU Clemson, that would be frustrating for those fan bases probably because Atlanta is so much closer.
Well, that's true too. If you have LSU Clemson and Ohio State Utah, they might get sent out west. But usually you would want to favor the number 1 seed, right?
I don't know. I think there's a lot of factors in play here of the city's specific and what they want. I don't know.
I think they should just set that up preseason. Hey, 1 versus 4 goes here, 2 versus 3 goes here. That way they say, hey, look,
take it out.
This is what we said. We didn't know who was going to be who.
That would make it easier, certainly, yes.
Yeah, for sure. So, anyways, I'm on the points you've already alluded to. I think Utah ultimately wins this game. Oregon is going, like I said, with Justin Herbert, he's going to use this game to play well, showcase his talents for the NFL. Whether you agree that he's a pro prospect or not, that's not for us to say. But I think Utah wins this game by a field goal.
Scary game.
I see a close game. I see. My original thought was like a 27-24 kind of game. So unfortunately, I don't want that to happen for your over, obviously. But I saw that. Both teams, Utah, the last since that USC loss, they have won all their games by an average of 29 points. The margin of victory is 29 points. You know what I'm saying?
They are really, really good, yes.
Yeah, so, but I may, depending on if I can get a favorable line, sprinkle some on the money line in terms of Oregon. No disrespect to you and your futures. But since Utah has entered the Pac-12, Oregon is 4-2 straight up against Utah.
No, yeah, I think Oregon is the right play here. Again, the weather, unfortunately for Herbert, I don't think he's going to be able to showcase his talent here with very, very high winds. It's going to be tough. This is going to be a grinded out, short passing kind of game. It doesn't mean he can't manage the game well and do well, but yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to see those throws being chucked over the field. It's just not really possible in a game like this. So that'd be my guess.
A trend going against you, the last 7 head-to-head meetings, the over 6-1.
Ah, there we go.
But again, the weather may be a factor there, like you said.
Yeah.
All right, we'll cut tape there because that will be what we listen to on Saturday morning to see how good or bad we did. So we are on the under for Mr. Tony Johnson, and we are on the side of Oregon.
There we go.
All right, moving into Saturday, Baylor versus OU, another game with massive potential playoff implications. Let's just stop here. Georgia beats LSU. Doesn't matter what anybody else does. Correct?
Oh, 100%. Yes.
I mean, we assume Clemson's going to win. We'll talk about that later, whether we think they're going to cover.
Sure.
But we assume Clemson's going to win. We assume Ohio State's going to beat
you got your 4,
Wisconsin.
then.
So if Georgia wins, you got your 4.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, Baylor versus OU. I have a 9-point spread here, 8.5 in some spots. The total 65.5. The last meeting, we know all about it. Baylor blew a 28-3 lead, which seems common in football. 28-3 leads are never safe in football. I guess my next thing I was going to bring up is the winner's realistic chance of the CFP. Let's just say everything holds serve in terms of Georgia losing. I'm going to pretend that Georgia loses going forward so that we can talk about these potential scenarios. We just talked about Utah getting in. I believe they get in, whether they win by a 1 or a million. However, that would be my playoff selection. I got to figure out what's going on in the minds of the committee's playoffs. I don't even know who's in the committee. I know there's the Oregon athletic director's in, so I would imagine
tons of ADs.
Yeah,
tons.
I can't imagine that's favorable.
No, I don't think it is either. I agree. I don't know why.
But hopefully, if Georgia does lose, Oregon AD will be beating the drum for Utah if Utah does win. I would imagine that's the case.
Well, they have to theoretically get out of the room when they talk about certain teams. That's what they say.
Well,
I don't know what
What's
happens.
the point of having a committee that they have to leave when the certain team?
I couldn't agree more. It doesn't make any sense to me why you have ADs on this committee. I mean, you can find a lot of fine people that could talk about games and know what's going on. You know, good former head coaches, things like that. I don't understand why that's not happening. I don't know, but that's my own take. So yes.
Anyways, a lot of people generally believe that Oklahoma wins and they're in. Obviously, if Georgia loses, but Baylor wins, they're not necessarily a lock.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I said a couple weeks ago.
One of them.
I said a couple weeks ago I didn't think any Big 12 team should get in. I eliminated the Big 12. I mean, I don't know how things have changed. I don't think things have changed, but apparently, the
Oklahoma wins this game by 4 touchdowns. You don't think they're going to look sexy?
I don't. It's Baylor. I don't get that excited about it. The Baylor's barely beating teams.
Well, in fairness to Baylor, they are the only team in college football history to go from 1-11 the previous season to 11-1.
They didn't have a season in between?
I thought.
Yeah.
Oh, they did. You're right. Yeah, they did. Yeah. But still, I mean, to go from 1-11.
No, yeah, it's a great story.
11-1 in 2 years, I guess.
Not doubting any of that, but I just don't like either one of these. I don't think either one of these teams are elite teams. I think Oklahoma is obviously an offensive juggernaut, and the quarterback has been incredible, but not an elite team in my opinion. Now, barely getting by TCU at home. That's a non-bowl team. Losing to K-State on the road. That's a 6-win team, I think. It's just, I don't know. They barely beat Texas on the road. Texas, that's a 6-win team. I just don't get excited about it.
Yeah, it's amazing how the top 10 Texas to start the year, which is why we all believe, I think, in this room, the three of us who covered the college football, is that preseason rankings are total bullshit.
Total, yes. I mean, Texas has 7 wins, I'm sorry. But nonetheless, I mean, these are... It's just
they're 7-5.
They didn't roll through their conference like they should have, and you have a scare, maybe every once a year, maybe against a subpar team, but you can't have multiples of these.
So is Oklahoma this year's Ohio State?
In regards to
that, a nasty loss, even though they lost by what 7?
7, K-State. I guess.
Ohio State got left out because of their nasty loss to Iowa.
That's right.
And then Purdue.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, maybe that is. Maybe that would be this year's. Yes, for sure. Because there's I guess a good enough chance that they don't get in. It's more likely than not they don't get in, not knowing the results of any of these games. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just not impressed. They played well enough against Oklahoma State, but Oklahoma State started a total 0 quarterback. So I don't get that jacked about that one either. I know it's a rivalry game and that's all nice, but they were 2 touchdown favorites, so yeah, they should win the game by 18. I don't know. I just don't like the team very much. The defense has gotten a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but they've played at Oklahoma State with bad quarterback and TCU with zero quarterback, essentially. So, what do you want to do? And then they're down 28-3 to Baylor. They give up 41 points to Iowa State, a fine Iowa State team, but still only a 6 or 7 win team or whatever the case is. I don't know.
All right, so you've eliminated both of these teams. I'm okay with that.
I have, yeah. I mean, if I'm doing the rankings, it doesn't matter what happens in this game. I have eliminated them.
So if Georgia loses, Utah wins, Oklahoma wins, not for your futures bet, you are on you got Utah.
I would pick Utah. Yes, yeah. Whether I have a bet or not, I would take Utah. That's right.
All right. Well, they're going to play this game though. So what do we think about it? Baylor is 8-4 against the spread this year.
Yeah.
Oklahoma is a putrid 5-7.
There you go.
Against the spread. This game's in Jerry World, which they haven't been doing a lot of winning there in the pro franchise. The Cowboys. It's been tough. We'll talk about that obviously on Sunday's podcast. Public action right now is really high on Baylor. 70% of the action on that +9 number. Oklahoma, interesting stat I saw, as a favorite of over a touchdown or more the last 6 games neutral site, they are 1-5 against the spread.
Interesting. That is an interesting one, actually. That kind of.
And most of the times that's usually opening games and Big 12 championships, unless they consider the Texas game a neutral site game. I would imagine they do.
Oh, they probably do. Yes, yeah, of course, yes. Oh, okay.
So you figure that 1-5 over the last 2 years because they've been in the playoff they've been in the playoff the last 2 years too.
Yeah, they've gotten in the last couple of years as the 4, I think. Yes.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean that's an interesting one. Certainly.
Last 4 games, Baylor is 4-0 against the spread against these Sooners.
Yeah, I don't like to be on public dogs.
I don't either.
Yeah, it's a very concerning
everything
thing.
favors them, but I don't love anything about it either. I think Oklahoma's not going to come out slow this time because they know they realistically do have a shot at making the playoff.
Agreed. I do not. Yes, I don't think the start of this game will mirror anything like we saw before. So I'm not taking into account a lot of what happened 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago or whatever it is. I'm really not, and that's true for a lot of this. I mean, we'll come to a game where I am counting the last time these teams played, but this one I'm not. I'm just counting a lot of it. And yeah, my final score, I did the full handicap on this one is 35-31 Oklahoma. So, I would be in theory on the Baylor side getting 9, but I looked at what you saw and I didn't like how all this public money is there, but yet the line has moved up, from 8 to 9. Yeah, that is not a good sign there. So. Again, strong lean here with Baylor. Baylor is a team that has obviously not been blown out of games. They have kept every game close, whether it's been against bad opponents or good opponents, and that needs to be important too. Is that this is the best defense in the Big 12, and you have that good of a defense, and you're that much better, I think, than the number 2 team, whatever team you would deem number 2. It goes a long way in my book, and Oklahoma is able to run kind of all over the field. Jalen Hurts gets what he wants in pretty much any game, but he won't in this game, and he's going to have to make some throws, and he's going to have to go out and win a ball game. And is he capable? Yes, but I'm just not sure he's going to do it. And Baylor's going to get points too, so I think it'll be close.
It's funny. I hate taking public money, but here's all the reasons I think it's going to cover.
It's the way I handicap the game.
Yeah,
and,
I hear you.
So
you can handicap the game, feel it, then see the public's all over it too, and you're like, oof.
Agreed completely. Yes. Now, if I had seen the total open at 62, I might have swung maybe a little bit on the over. But now it's 64, 64 and a half.
65 and a half is what I see currently. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so you moved. Yeah. So it's just that's moved too much. I'm gonna unfortunately I missed that line. So I'm gonna stay away from this game very likely. If Baylor gets to 10 or some silly number, I'll probably jump in.
It's kind of funny you mentioned that because when I was thinking about this game. Without seeing the line, I actually thought Oklahoma wins by 10 to 14 points. Mm-hmm. So seeing it at, actually, you're right, it opened up at 8, now is up to 9. I want to take Oklahoma. I'll probably end up staying away from this game, but I think Oklahoma is a double-digit win here. I really do. I think ultimately Baylor is in a spot of unknown, and it's nothing against Matt Rule or anybody in this class, but they're in a spot that they're unknown. Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley's in a spot that he knows for the last 2 years. And, again, I don't think they're, going to win a national championship this year, but I think they're going to know what it takes to probably impress the voters or the committee, and they're going to do everything in their power to get the sexiest victory possible.
Can't argue that one.
And I'm hoping that if I do end up taking Oklahoma, that in the attempt to get the sexiest victory possible, they don't press and struggle, which is another totally plausible. But I mean, Jalen Hurts, like you said, he gets what he wants. He's third in the FBS in total offense at 380.3 yards per game.
Yeah, he has more rushing yards than the great majority of running backs in the country.
That is correct. He is second among quarterbacks. You would know who the first is.
He's second in rushing for quarterbacks?
Yeah, 1,200 yards.
Oh, well, one of the military guys. No, because they've had some injuries this year. Wow, that's a fascinating question. Usually I would be right on this.
I don't know the answer. I was kind of thinking you did.
I should, but I don't think I do. Wow, that's fascinating. I did not know that he was second. I mean, Ellinger has a bunch, but I know he's not as
There's no
Hurts.
way.
There's no way. Wow. Chambers would have been with Wyoming, but he got hurt towards the end of the year. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, Fields has a bunch, too, but I don't think he's that high. I don't think he's high enough as Hurts, though. I don't know where I would go. I'm not sure where I would go. It's not coming off my my head right now.
I'm trying to play crack research staff here while we're looking.
Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Oh, well, it is Malcolm Perry from Navy.
Oh, okay. I thought he'd been hurt a couple. Okay, maybe he just still had enough. Okay,
Fucking
gotcha.
1,500 on the dot with 19 touchdowns.
Got it. Okay, yeah.
Do you know who leads the country in rushing? You should know this one. It's my guy.
Well, I think it's Chuba still, right?
It's Chuba. I found out it was Chuba.
Yeah, Canadian, yes.
Freaking Canada.
Yeah. I thought, it was him for a while. I mean, he's got almost, 2,000 yards or close?
1963.
Wow. Yeah.
So he'll get there. He kind of got slowed down a little bit in that OU game.
He did, yeah. Well, they had a really nice, last three quarters, really, to be honest with you. They played good defense. Yeah.
So, all right, let's move on to the MAC. You ready for some action?
I'm ready.
CMU versus Miami of Ohio. 6.5-point spread in favor of the Chippewas of Central Michigan. The total is 54.5 in this spot. Central Michigan is 9-3 against the spread this year. Has played really good ball.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Miami, Ohio, 7-5, 6-6 against the spread. The only thing I remember about Miami of Ohio this year is them getting destroyed by Ohio State, like 80-5, whatever that was.
They did, yeah.
But they don't have to play, fortunately, Ohio State this week. They play Central Michigan, another pretty decent team. This is going to be an interesting one. This one's at Ford Field. The under, the last 7 times they've played head-to-head is 5-2. But the over the over in the last 5 MAC championship games has hit.
Yeah.
And this isn't a relatively high total for MAC.
It is, yeah. The indoor game is certainly probably a help. I would assume for that total. But I'll be full disclosure here. I did not handicap this game, and the reason is my biggest future bet of the year in regards to payout wise. Well, actually, second biggest. Utah would be the biggest, but I have Central Michigan at 80-1 to win the MAC. So I am hedging this one off with Miami of Ohio. All I'll say is this: well,
it's good. You're getting plus money on both sides too.
Yeah, I mean it's a fantastic situation. So I'm very pleased about that. Central Michigan has been just rolling everybody, and not just what you would expect with a Jim McElwain coach team. It's not just offense. It's actually defensively. They have been really strong, especially against the run, which is sort of the bread and butter of Miami, Ohio. They run a lot of misdirection, a lot of RPO type of stuff, and I do think the matchup is pretty decent for Central Michigan here. They've really come on strong. It's an unbelievable. I don't like to acquire coaches that are kind of going the opposite direction here. I didn't necessarily like to hire, but I mean clearly in his first season, he's turned around this team completely, and they weren't just winning games, but for the most part, they were dominating games that weren't really necessarily thought to happen. The game against Northern Illinois, for example, 3 or 4 weeks ago, they won by 38. And they were a dog in that game. It's just remarkable stuff. So if I was betting this game, I don't think I'm stepping in front of Central Michigan at this point. There might be a little bit too much put into the fact that the game is in Detroit. I think there's this assumption that it'll be, heavy
Mostly
Central Michigan.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's true. Again, Miami, Ohio.
It's not that far away.
It's not that far away from Ohio, and they really are a team that has not been here before. They have another strong, loyal fan base. A lot of graduates from that school are in the Chicagoland area. I know it's a common theme of people that go to Chicago for work. So I assume that many of those people will travel in. That's not that bad to get to Detroit. I do think we'll have a mix. Might be with a few more Central Michigan fans, but I think it'll be a relative mix. So I wouldn't put a lot of home field advantage here. They're the better team. There's no question about that. And Miami Ohio has played poorly the last couple of weeks, but I think the part of the reason they played poorly, this is important, is that they were already clinched on their side of the conference a couple of weeks ago. And again, should you be playing poorly? Should you finish the season poorly? No, but I do think they took the foot off the gas, and that won't happen in this game. So I think it's going to be close. I don't know. I don't really want to be, again, betting against Central Michigan at this point because they are world beaters the last 5 or 6 weeks.
But you will be because you'll be hedging.
I will be hedging, yeah. But I'm still going to want Central Michigan to win. I mean, certainly.
Of course, yeah. If I could give you a piece of advice.
Yes.
To maximize at this current juncture at Vegas Insider, you need to make your bet either at Station Casinos, the win.
220s?
You got 220s. Yeah.
I have 220.
You already have it?
Yes, 220s booked.
Locked in?
Yes. I think this night line's going to go down.
The question is, you think it's going to go down. So the question is, you think it might go up?
No, there were some 7s earlier, and now there's not very many left. And I think that the sharper people out there and people that will actually put some legit paper on this thing will be on the that's what I'm saying. It will be on the other side of this. This won't be a very public bet game. I do think that the sharper players will be on Miami, Ohio because of kind of all of these things. That teams are going in complete opposite directions, and I think they're going to see some value getting this many points here. These teams haven't played yet too, which probably helps. So. Yeah, for the regular season. So that's my guess. Total-wise, I have no idea. Again, I didn't handicap the game specifically. I watched both these teams play a decent amount, but yeah.
Yeah, what's the point of handicapping a game you already know you're going to
exactly,
make
and I'm just
specific bet on?
I'm just going to watch and hope for the best, and if Central Michigan wins, it'll be great. So, otherwise fine too, but yeah. So.
Also true, yeah, exactly. All right, let's talk about the Sun Belt. Is that it? The Sun Belt, right? Yeah. Lafayette, Louisiana Lafayette versus Appalachian State. Appalachian State is the Mountaineers. They are a 6.5-point favorite, total 56.5. A lot of action on Appalachian State. 75% of the action is going in on them. This game is in where are they at? Boone,
North Carolina. Yes, one of the good home field advantages in the group of 5 teams. They got a big home field advantage there.
While true, Louisiana Lafayette is 6-0 on the road this year.
Oof. Great team too. Yeah, these teams are just I love these conference championship games. There's so many great teams.
Lafayette 9-3 against the spread, 4-1 against the spread on the road, 8-4 for Appalachian State. They are 3-3 against the spread at home. The casual bettor would know Appalachian State over Lafayette, so theoretically, I would imagine they're going to be jumping on Appalachian State. Hence the action 75-25.
Yes.
Again, the line is 57. It was 56.5. I just refreshed. It's up to 57 now. Lafayette actually has been playing solid defense necessarily. They the under in their last 4 games versus opponent with a winning record is 4-0. However, the Appalachian State, the last 7 games against opponent 500 or better, the over is 6-1. Last 7. So obviously something we'll have to give for that. Last 7 head-to-head, the under is 6-1, but the dog is 5-2. So a lot of things, in my opinion, are favoring the Ragin' Cajuns in this spot, even though Appalachian State has won 7 straight in this matchup.
Yeah, it should be a great game, and this is one of those where I think both coaches won't be there for very much longer. Maybe you'll get another year out of one of these guys, possibly Drinkowitz of Appalachian State, because it's his first year there. He may hang around, but I mean, both of these coaches
he replaced, what's his name?
Satterfield. That's now at Louisville, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, they have a line of great coaches. And before Satterfield, I can't remember where that guy went, but he went somewhere else too. Okay, doesn't matter. But,
I can't remember where that guy went, but he went somewhere else.
I want to say
specifically vague.
I want to say it was Charlotte or something like that, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. So, and Charlotte's come on strong here this last end of the season. But yeah, so basically this game, I'm not looking at the game that they played in week 4 or 5. It was 17-7 App State, and that was on the road actually at Lafayette. They played a classic App State game of the last couple of years. They really sat on the ball, played great defense, and I think were able to do what they wanted. In theory, they missed a couple field goals. The game probably should have been actually a little bit more than what it was. But yeah, this time around, again, I wouldn't be surprised if things are a little bit different here. As you've said, Billy Napier at Lafayette has completely turned around this program, and he's an Urban Meyer protege. Did a lot of the recruiting for all the great offensive guys that they have over there, and he's an unbelievable coaching talent. So another guy that's done really well in game too, which was the shocking thing because he was just a great recruiter, and you didn't really know what you might get as a head coach. But I mean, he looks like he's got his head on straight. So again, a lot of good stuff here. I actually have a small play in this game. I am going to play App State anyway here, and again, the reason is I do think they are one of the 2 best teams in the Group of 5 spot. So while Lafayette is also still really good, I think that in the eyes of the committee, App State is certainly more well-regarded. And if Memphis does happen to lose, I do think that would probably be the team that would be able to get through. And I just think that they're better on both sides of the ball. Again, their rush defense is what will probably win the day here. They're averaging less than 4 yards a carry against, and that's what Lafayette does best. So I do think that they'll hold serve here. One of the things that I noted is I wanted to see how many players from Lafayette are from that region, that area, and it is overwhelmingly high. About half the team is from Louisiana. The other half is split between Texas and Georgia and some Florida. And again, playing in very cold weather in high elevation in Boone, North Carolina, is a tall order in December, and I do think it'll have an effect in this game. I'm not sure how many points we can attribute to that, but I do think it has an effect in this game, and so it helps even more here for App State. I have this one 31-20 App State final, and so that's where I'll be. A small wager, but certainly enough to take App. I have 6. I got 6. I know there's 6 in a few places. So.
Yeah, fair enough. Actually, if App State wins, they would be joining Oklahoma as the only one of the only Power 5, or actually, FBS teams to win 3 straight, or what the hell am I saying?
Conference championship?
Thank you. In the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. So. Actually, I'm sitting kind of on the other side in this, generally because, like you said, being with public money is scary sometimes. Mm-hmm. I do believe App State will win. I also don't believe they'll be the highest G5 team, even though they might be one of the best teams. But I think we see a close game. I think we see a field goal, 3 to 5 point game in this spot. But the topic you brought up, as far as a lot of Southern guys playing in a northern elevated spot in December, is an interesting thought, I would say. Ultimately, I will say this game probably goes 31-27 kind of range. So this is one I'm kind of interested in seeing as well, especially if the side gets pushed a little higher in favor of App State. I'd be interested in throwing a little back on the Ragin' Cajuns.
I'm not sure what will happen. Yeah, I don't know how the line is gonna move here. That's a good question. It's one of those I don't have a good read on. I don't know.
This one I'm already in play. I've already got a bet on, and I feel super confident, which means you should fade it. That is the Conference USA Championship.
Oh, I do too. Oh, this is fun. Good.
Okay. UAB at Florida Atlantic. FAU is an 8-point favorite in this spot. Total 49.5. It's gonna be a fun one. I mean, Lane Kiffin's been. I don't know if it's serious or not, but he's been in the discussions for replacement, Power 5 schools. Mm-hmm. USF has been one. Florida State has, even though they're probably going to hire Mike Norvell, Florida State's been talked about, as well as some SEC schools. So it'd be interesting. Yeah, I don't know if any SEC wants to go through that dumpster fire again.
Seriously.
But nevertheless, FAU is 8 or 8.5 point favorite. Total 49.5. Florida Atlantic is 4-2 in these last the last 6 meetings here head to head against these two teams. UAB 7-5 against the spread, not great, even though they're 9-3. FAU 8-4 against the spread, which is a little better, obviously. How do you see this one?
Yeah, I've taken a stand on this one. This is the only game I've really taken another relatively strong stand, and the reason is there is absolutely no I guess betting bandwagon, if you will, or any sort of backing here for UAB, or there hasn't been in the last half of this season. And I'm not saying there necessarily should or shouldn't be, but nothing has been forth. They were written off. Bill Clark brought this team back from literally nothing.
The dead.
Yes, the dead, and everyone just assumed the run was over. They had some injuries early in the season that were pretty brutal, and they lost a couple games there in a row. But all of a sudden, this team has come around, and they are playing elite defense at the end of the season. The game against La Tech, I think, was the most important game, because that game, La Tech controlled their own destiny a couple weeks ago, and they could not move the ball very much against UAB, and that was a big one for me there, to really see that this team is back and playing in its, because it is a defensive team. At the end of the day, and it's just been a total turnaround with UAB. So I know there's a lot of backing with Florida Atlantic. There's a lot of people that just assume it's going to be a role here, that this is the name coach, the name school. I see it as completely the opposite way, and I like being on the opposite side here. I know the books, and I know everybody is. The books are going to need UAB at kick, and I wish I had waited. I didn't really realize it was going to keep going, because I got it at 8, and it might actually keep going. But
it's surprising to see that, considering that UAB is the defending champs, even though the game's on the road.
I know. Yeah, it's on the road. And then one of the things I like is that it's not a huge home field advantage for Florida Atlantic. I mean, it's not one of those crazy places.
No.
That's not
so many other things to do.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm liking that a lot too. And again, UAB is not going to back down. They've been there before. And what Florida Atlantic does best, being able to run the ball out of their multiple sets. This is the best rush defense by far in Conference USA. Conference USA down year, I'll give you that, but 2.8 yards a carry, and in the last 3 weeks, it's 2.2. I mean, they are really strong. So I like UAB here. I think they got a chance to win the game. I'll have a little bit on the money line as well, but I like the +8.
Me too.
Oh, no! So fade us.
Yeah. I actually have straight bet on the +8. I have a parlay on +8 in the under in this spot.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Interesting.
I agree with you. I think we're looking at a situation where I think ultimately FAU will win this game, just because the firepower and ultimately I think the firepower will get them the win. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at somewhere along 24-19 kind of game.
I have 24-21 based on my handicap. Yeah.
So I am on UAB plus, UAB in the under, and what do we have for a money line in that spot? I think
250-ish, I think.
I got the money lines.
I've been trying to keep track of that tabs, and that one I waited on, so I'm good.
Yeah, 250, 240 in some spots.
Okay.
So
good. Yeah, I'll probably get a little bit on that for game time, so that'd be good.
Let's see. Well, the highest we got. Anybody? Who's the big winner? CG Technology, 260 right now.
There you go.
So, yeah, I'm with you on that one, especially since most of the public is geared towards FAU. They know the Lane Kiffin. And if I can't imagine there's too much handle on this game, but I could be wrong.
I wouldn't think so. Yep.
I have been once before. It was really awkward. All right, so let's move into let's move to Mountain West, because I want to save. I think my favorite championship game is the American. So I'll save that for just a second here. Hawaii and Boise. Boise is a 14-point favorite, 13.5 in some spots. Total 64.5. Boise, without their starting quarterback, seems to have not really skipped a beat.
Yeah,
you made a funny face.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, they've been this is the least impressive one-loss team that I've seen in a while.
I agree. I agree. I mean, we were talking, but everyone was talking so much, how they beat Florida State. Well, we've seen it.
Yeah, exactly.
I will give them credit for coming across the country, the game getting moved into their own home building, Florida State, and beating them. I will give them credit for that.
They should get definitely credit for a good win.
But, I mean, it feels like Boise Twitter is like resting on that. Like, we're the highest group of 5. We beat Florida State. Well, calm down.
Yeah.
I mean, Memphis beat Ole Miss, and we're not raving about that at the end of the year.
Exactly. So, agreed. Yeah.
Hawaii 9-4 straight up, 7-6 against the spread. Boise is 6-5. against the spread. Actually, the most telling game of Boise's, which again it was a long time ago, so things have changed. It's actually only really defeating Marshall 14-7 earlier in the season at home. Mm-hmm. So I'm not in love with this Boise team, but at the same time, I'm never in love with a Hawaii team that has to travel off the island.
It's a fair point. Yes. Yes. That's
Also Nugget. I would love for them to move the Mountain West championship game here to Vegas.
That would be ideal. That seems like the correct spot for it. Yes, absolutely.
I would love for the Pac-12 to play on Friday and the Mountain West to play on Saturday if they could find a way to, change the field.
I'm in.
End zones.
I'm in.
Do they even put the team? Don't put the teams. Just put Mountain West. Or just put championship. I don't know, something. But that would be cool to have both those championship games here.
Absolutely.
So, anyways, that was my little input of Nugget.
Yeah. No, that's about it. I looked at this game hard. Really tried to figure out something, and I couldn't come up with much. In Hawaii's, defense of maybe possibly coming out with one here. The weather is not supposed to be bad, so that is
remember last
that is
year
good for them.
What was it, Fresno and
Yeah,
Boise?
Fresno, it was snow. Yes,
snow.
It's terrible. Yes, and
I loved it.
Give credit to Fresno for coming in and winning that game too. That was a lot of people didn't expect them to do that.
It was a double OT game,
something like that.
Yeah,
it was
a great
great.
game.
It was a good game. I'm happy about that. It should rain throughout the game, but again, that's nothing new to Hawaii.
Hawaii's also 0-7 straight up all time in Boise.
Yeah, I mean that's been a lot of one-sided, lopsided type of games. This
Average
is the best
margin
chance
of
they've had.
defeat.
Probably high.
33.
I'm sure it's high. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Thankfully, I think this is one of their best chances here. So, yeah, and this line opened around 14 at most places, but we're seeing some 13.5. So, clearly, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think the betting public has done a nice job with this game so far. I'd be a little bit wary if I saw Boise now at 15, 16 type of thing. But, again, I think that's the right number here. I don't know what else to do. I mean, Boise's done enough to win games. But I just don't want to be on a favorite here, giving multiple touchdowns against a passing team where the back door is just always open and Hawaii is always just hanging around. Obviously, the big difference here is Hawaii is giving up 431 yards a game on defense. It's atrocious. It's really bad. And Boise is like 100-plus yards less than that. But both teams aren't that great through the air on defense. So that's something that's interesting here. I'm not sure the weather is going to allow for tons of passing yards over the game, but over the field. But still, I think it'll be close-ish. Again, I don't play on this game. If I had to, I would lean Hawaii, but I don't.
Well, I do have a bone to pick with you regarding Hawaii as well.
Yes.
I had a big bet on Army last week on your advice.
I did too.
It did not go so well.
Yes, didn't go well for any of us. Yes. Yeah, they weren't.
It was
weren't
unfortunate. They got kind of dusted off.
They had no business winning that game. Yes, that's right. They got lucky to even be in the game in the third quarter. I agree. Yep. No, it was a bad bet. That was
It happens.
Wrong side.
Just wanted to
absolutely.
Pick on you a little bit.
I'll take it.
All right, American time. It is the American Conference Championship, and for the first time in 3 years, it does not involve my boys.
That's right.
It's unfortunate
that way, yeah.
But I still enjoy this conference. I follow it, obviously, the closest.
Great conference.
It's weird to think.
Really
a lot of people, based on last week's results, are not giving Cincinnati much of a chance. The line currently is Memphis 9.5 or 10. I think what we saw last week is not necessarily what we're going to see this week, but I still think Memphis comes out on top. I just don't know which way I feel about the spread. The road team in the last 5 is 5-0. Obviously, that favors Cincinnati. 5-0 against the spread. Also, Cincinnati is 7-2 in their last 9 against the spread. And Memphis has won 4 straight, obviously including last week against the Bearcats. A lot of action coming in on Cincy, which, again, it makes me a little nervous. It's only 60% action, really, according to covers here. But I kind of liked Cincinnati as a revenge spot here. What do we know about Ritter? Is he going to play?
I think so, yeah. It's technically, I think, a game-time decision, but for all that I've read and known that he is on slate to play, he's been practicing for the most part. So, yeah, I think he's going to play.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not sure what the downgrade is to the quarterback. I'm not a big fan of Ritter, but, Yeah, my only take on this one, I'm not going to have a play on this one.
I thought Ben Bryant made a few mistakes toward the end of the game. That may have been a coaching problem, but
yeah, maybe.
And
he hasn't played a lot this year. But
Right.
from how he grades as a recruit or whatever, he shouldn't be that much worse than Ritter. I don't know, but I thought Cincinnati played really well, and they still lost by 10. So that's the big worry for me is they played well and they lost by 10. And I'm not sure what Memphis's desire was in that game. Obviously, they played hard. I'm not saying they didn't, but
well, they had to because Cincinnati was in no matter what. It just all depended on where they were playing. Cincinnati was in the conference title game.
Oh, I thought it was Memphis that was in for sure.
No. Memphis, if they would have lost that game, Navy could have jumped them.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So Memphis had something to gain, obviously, by not losing that game.
Oh, okay.
So whether that translates to this week, I don't know. But again, like you said, Cincinnati's played incredibly well this year, but at times they've also looked like they've played down to competition. I don't know what to make of this team because I really want to believe that they're a good team, obviously. But when you have those games against East Carolina and South Florida like they did, it gives me every reason to believe that I either should stay off this game completely or just take the over and be happy when they score 90.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I made it a point to try to avoid betting against Mike Norvell starting about last year when I decided that he was a great coach and his in-game coaching decisions and his second-half adjustments are elite. And I don't think I've bet against Memphis in the last year and a half. I don't think there was a spot. I might have bet on them here or there, but I don't think, for the most part, avoided them. And he's one of the best right now, and I know he's got pretty much his choice of coaching jobs, and as well he probably should. I mean, he's I think the best coach in this certainly in this conference, and in probably the majority of them. So I just don't want to be against him on a spot like this. How much of a distraction is all these coaching potential ventures? Yeah, maybe it is something. I don't know. I'm going to avoid this one, even though my handicap is 41-24 Memphis. I mean, that's a lot of points, too, so maybe I should be on an over here. I don't know, but there's just sort of enough unknown. And I like the other coach, too. I like Fickle a lot as well.
Yeah.
A lot of respect for him, too. So,
I'm surprised he's not getting a look, especially with what he did at Ohio State and here at Cincinnati.
Agreed. Yeah, no, he's an exceptional coach. No, I'm with you. So, two good teams. Rick, I'm with you. I think this is going to be a really good game. I'm looking forward to it as well. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it more than some of the bigger conference games. Yeah. So I'm probably just going to avoid this one. Well, I'll be watching this one throughout, so maybe there'll be some sort of in-play bet depending on what we see. But, certainly I'm going to probably stay on the sidelines at this point.
All right. Well, fair enough. All right, let's move into the bigger of the conference championship games. Obviously, the ones that'll be probably more heavily viewed. Let's start with the ACC because it seems like of the three, it's probably the weakest matchup. Obviously, it's the biggest spread. Clemson 28.5-point favorites over UVA. Total is 57. I'm gonna write down what I think you're on in this spot. You can tell me.
Okay.
If I'm correct or not. Clemson is 9-3 against the spread, 5-2 at home. Even though this game is in Charlotte. Mm-hmm. UVA pulling off the first win against Virginia Tech in 20 years?
15 times. They've lost 15 in a row. Yeah.
But their reward, they get to play Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers.
Yeah, that's tough.
All right. What are you on?
Well, I've bet on them the last 4 out of 6 weeks, so this will be the last time probably. I don't know if we'll get there on a playoff, depending on the matchup and what it is. I found a 28, so I took Clemson. Minus 28 here. This will be my 5th bet in the last 7 weeks, and we're staying with it. I think still a lot to prove. Still a lot. Dabo got on his soapbox again. And when that happens, and when he has this intense and this hatred, the starters were on the field the entire game last week against South Carolina, and I had a pretty good idea that was going to happen. It was such a good side to be on Clemson last week. It's just this guy is relentless, and Virginia coming off the best win. You could make an argument. I'm not a Virginia football historian, but one of the best wins in program history. I mean, a huge deal to be in this game, to come from 2-3 years ago when Bronco took over, and this was a much maligned, really bad ACC team, and I just think they're going to get trounced here. This was a game that they wanted and needed, and they put everything they had into last week. And now to have to go here, I just think it's going to be one-sided throughout. Clemson is going to play hard. Again, there will be no taking their foot off the gas at any point, no matter what the score is. I want to be on that team. Backdoors, I'm not too worried about in regards to Virginia. They are a running team. It is a Bryce Perkins show on the ground. And, yeah, he can run by a lot of people against these other ACC teams. That will not happen against Clemson. The speed is too good. I like Clemson going away here.
All right, that's not where I had you going.
All right.
Although it kind of correlates to where I had you going.
Okay.
I had you on the under 57.
It's gone up a lot. That is kind of strange. I just think because Clemson can sort of name the score, that it's a little concerning. I wouldn't want to be on the under here.
My thought is I can see 42-10 and they'll be just fine because they're in if they win.
Yes, 42-10 is
so they're
certainly
obviously
viable.
going to, I would imagine, get out as fast as they can and get into the showers as fast as they can.
I don't think so. I think it'll be running up as much as possible. This is Dabo Swinney at his peak of just trying to annihilate as much as possible.
52-3 can also happen too, and I'm still good.
True. No. Yes, agreed. Yeah, Virginia may not score very much. I'm with you, 100%.
Also true.
So,
yeah. That defense is really good for the Tigers.
It is. Yeah. Another team that's improved since that North Carolina close call. They have been completely dominant. So,
yeah, 7 straight by 30 or more. That'll be it.
That's it.
All right, the SEC title game is at 4 o'clock Eastern, and it is LSU versus Georgia. Obviously, this is the domino that will create all the other dominoes to either fall or just be stuck. LSU is a touchdown favorite. The total 55.5. Obviously, I know that's because LSU is averaging like 40-something points a game, but UGA is playing pretty fucking solid defense.
Best defense in college football, in my opinion.
I don't think it's just your opinion. I believe that statistically is correct.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, they're exceptional. Giving up, almost 250 yards a game only in
16
total.
Points, too, yeah.
Amazing, yeah. So.
My first thought is the under.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it's just because you're sitting close to me and you're rubbing off on
there
me.
it is. Yes, finally rubbing off on people. I like it. I like it, yes.
You're not rubbing them out.
Nope, that's not in studio at least.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, this is my the other future I have is besides Utah is I got Georgia at 16-1, so I'm kind of in a
but
weird
not
spot.
at 16, 12-1.
Okay, yeah, this is a weird spot to be in. In theory, if I had a choice, I'd rather just have Georgia win so I can guarantee have a team in there. And I don't think Georgia can beat any of these other 3 teams I have mentioned. I've talked about that before, but they'll have a fighting chance, I guess. Maybe more so than Utah would. I have no idea. But, Georgia wins this game. The only chance they have to win this game is if our thought on the under will come home, because it has to be a scrappy, nasty fest for them to have any shot. LSU has shown, despite the fact that they've faced some good defenses themselves, they have really still put up a lot of points against almost everybody. The only exception, I think, was Auburn. That was only 24 points or something like that. But even against some really good defenses, Alabama, Florida, they put up 40 or more points. It's just... It's tough to get in front of these guys that are scoring a lot of points against elite defenses. Again, is Georgia better than those other 3? Yeah, I think so, but it's we're not talking about leaps and bounds here. So I'm with you. My
10.4 points is their scoring defense. I don't know why I thought 16. Yikes.
My lean is the under, but I just don't know if I can get there. I don't really know. But that's the side. That's the
spot.
How
many
points
can Georgia put up?
Yeah,
against the Tiger defense.
I can't see that many. They can't put up very more points against anybody really at this point. With lack of quarterback.
Shut up.
I won't get into that diatribe, but yeah.
Kirby made the right choice.
Oh yeah, sure. I I don't know. I don't care about the 52-point drubbing of Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech's barely a team right now. I care about the what the combined 20 average of the previous 6 games before that against some subpar teams. To only score 27 against Missouri, I don't know. There were some rain games in there. The Kentucky 21-0, that was a driving rain. I get that. You're not going to be able to do much, but I don't know. That's where I'd be. I'm with you.
I'm on the under in this spot, yeah.
Have you put it in already?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and
was
it hasn't
kind of my lean
moved
too.
all week. It's been 55.5.
Yeah. That's probably where I'm going to go to. I don't know. I haven't put it in yet, but it's a thought. I've scratched it out here. I don't know what I'm going to do, but yeah. So.
Can this game make or break Joe Burrow's Heisman? Or is there anyone close? Chase Young, Justin Fields?
I think he's a 30-1 favorite. The last I had seen somewhere. So the odds makers wise. So yeah.
Minus 3,000?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So I don't think so. I don't think so.
I mean, say he comes out 87 yards, 3 picks, and no.
And Fields goes crazy. Maybe in theory, yes. I don't know. I just saw he was a 31 favorite.
Who's going to New York?
I assume Chuba. I hope. Chuba, Fields,
assumption.
Burrow. I don't know who the fourth would be. Maybe you get your defensive end. I'm not sure.
We usually only send 3, correct?
Oh,
unless
I don't
they
know.
believe that the fourth person has a good shot.
Well, then I think that should be those. Well, I think it should be those 3.
Chuba, Fields, and Burrow.
Yes. If I had a choice, and Chuba deserves to go. If he gets snubbed, I mean that's again. I don't really care about these types of things. I don't know why I really care, but Chuba's been awesome, and I mean, really, I expected him to be pretty good after his limited amount of running as a backup last year. But he was really elite last year for the little he did. I mean, he was so incredible. I mean, he's winning games outright for this team. Very impressive. So yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping for Chuba.
But, yeah, fair enough. Yeah. All right, final game in the championship slate is Ohio State versus number 8 Wisconsin. OSU is a 15.5-point favorite, total 56.5, gone up in this spot since the start of the week. You hate to think, we've already seen this matchup once. Ohio State kind of drubbed them. But, I mean, Wisconsin, we talked about them in the beginning of the year. I mean, they gave up, 0 points for 2.5 games?
Yes.
And again, South Florida, we know, and Central Michigan. But I think the onus always will continue to fall on, can they find a quarterback that can make a second dimension on offense?
Completely, yes.
I mean, no disrespect to Jonathan Taylor and turnover, but he's going to be game planned for.
Yeah, this is one of the great rush defenses in college football, and we saw what happened the first time. Wisconsin doesn't have a different game plan. They can't do anything. Well, they did a little bit different against Minnesota last week. Cohn did let it go.
Yeah, 280 and 2 touchdowns. That's why I was saying maybe we've got a second dimension here. But I mean, you and I have been waiting 2 years to see Jack Cohn do something like this.
We have, yeah, and it's just I don't. I think it's the same old. This was a pretty easy handicap. I have a 34-17, so I'm not going to be able to really play anything here. I think they have the numbers pretty much right. I guess the total has moved up a little bit, which is, I don't know, maybe just the fear that Ohio State just lays it on. But, yeah, that's what I got. Not much more from me. I'm going to definitely stay away from this game.
More rushing yards, Dobbins or Taylor?
That's the interesting thing is I know that there's been some talk that Dobbins is a little bit upset that he didn't win. There's some sort of award or whatever for the best back or the best player in each position in the Big Ten, and then he's supposed to not win it, and he's I guess taking it as a personal affront. Again, what does that matter for a game plan or who has more? I don't know. Depends on how many times he gets the ball, I guess. But
yeah.
I'm going to go with Dobbins just because of the way the game flow might go. Is if Wisconsin is down double digits in the second half, I just don't know how many carries Taylor can get. So I would go with Dobbins, but just because of the amount of volume, I don't know. Is he a better running back than Taylor? No, I don't think so. But he's very good. How
much is Justin Fields' injury last week going to impact? You think?
I hear there's no impact, and he's been practicing, and he's fine. So that's what I read. So
fair enough.
Yep. But we don't know until he takes the field. As always in college football, they don't have to put anybody on any injury report, so always hard to know. Yeah.
Also fair. All right.
You have a play on this one?
No official. I really don't know what to make of this. I want to take Wisconsin.
Okay.
Just simply because I'd like this to be a close game.
Yeah, well, it'd be great. Yes, it'd be entertaining. More entertaining. Yeah.
You can't bet against Ohio State. You're right. Yeah. They're the best in the field. No pun intended. But yeah, it's tough. It's really tough. If I had to delay a play, it's the last game of the night. It's chase time.
Yeah,
in case
exactly.
things go
That's
poorly.
true. Yes. Let's give our viewers something, or our listeners something.
I'll probably tweet it out, but maybe Wisconsin.
All right.
If I can get that up
Get it to 17?
if I can get that to 16 or 17, yeah, I might.
It's down to 15.5 now? Really?
I see 15.5
wow.
currently, yeah, as it stands. So there may be some late movement back on the Buckeyes.
I would expect so, yes. Mm-hmm.
Or I may just find some 14-point teaser with some NFL games and take OSU -2.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Yeah, they're not going to lose this one. So
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
So that might be the better spot. If somehow they get beat, they win by 1, then it just wasn't meant to be.
Do you
and
put any stock? I just want to bring this up quickly. In the SEC championship game, there's been some talk. I'm not a conspiracy guy, but I know you tend to sometimes put on the hat and and go that direction.
Okay.
Of the SEC getting 2 teams in to the college football playoff and how much that means to the conference in regards to the monetary aspect of it.
Well, absolutely. I believe each team that gets in is like $45 million.
It's huge. It's enormous. Yes, I don't have the exact numbers, but yeah, it's something really, really
and
high.
I don't know. I have to check on this. I don't know if revenue sharing is equal in the SEC.
Okay. Well, either way, you can check on that. But there's been some talk about how much of that matters. Is there a discussion in regards to LSU? How do they coach this game differently? Does Orgeron, how does this all work? Is he getting pressure maybe to not, go all out in this game? Do you think any of that has any semblance in this? Could it affect the line at all?
The only reason I don't think that's the case is because I believe they'll drop to number 4 and have to play Ohio State.
Okay.
I think they match up far better with Clemson.
Agreed. Yes, I agree with that.
Ohio State.
Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah, I mean,
unless Orgeron feels more comfortable playing Ohio State, which I don't think that's the case.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. The thing is the SEC schools, and I've got this right here. I don't know if this includes bowl payouts. Mm-hmm. But this is February 1st, 2019, so this would have been for the 2018 year.
Okay, well, that's close enough, yeah.
The Southeastern Conference made $604 million in revenue.
Just in the bowls?
No, just the
total
fiscal year. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I was going to say, wow.
An average of $43.1 million for school, or per school. The league said in 17-18 the total does not. Oh, here you go. This total does not include $23 million that was retained by schools to offset travel and bowl related. So, never mind. That's not related.
Okay.
So there's another $23 million to cover costs. So we're looking at $627 million in revenue. I don't know if. Let me try to find. CFP revenue, because would you get paid for making the semifinal and the final, or is it just one big share?
I was told it's like 40 to 50 plus million. That's why your 45 million rang true. But again, I didn't look into those details. I just know that it is excessively high. So I didn't know if it had an effect on that. I'm not trying to make you like the weird conspiracy guy. I know that sometimes you think about things like this. So
the reason I'm looking at this up because I can't imagine that Ed Orgeron is sweating like $50 million to potentially not lose a.
Yeah. And personality guy wise, he doesn't seem like that guy at all. So
yeah, he seems like the guy you would have a problem trying to persuade or pay off.
Definitely.
So
I agree.
So you figure an extra 50. Let's just say, okay, here we go. The revenue from each Power 5 conference was approximately $70 million. The revenue. Oh, excuse me. The revenue from the Power 5 conference was $70 million from the playoff system alone. So I don't know where that gets earmarked.
Okay.
All right. So let's just take off the money aspect from trying to find exact numbers. Let's just say for him to have to face Ohio State in the first round, because if they lose, they're going to be number 4. I would imagine.
They don't want to have a repeat of the game again. That's for sure. I think they want to avoid the Georgia LSU game again. So I would guess they'd have to move to 4, and Georgia would move to 2 or 3.
Well, yeah, they're not going to move to 3 and stay above Georgia.
Right. But I just don't think they want that game again right away.
So, Again, I think you have to go to 4. Georgia goes to 3.
Correct.
Clemson goes to 2. Yada, yada, yada. So
I agree.
Ohio
That's
State
how
goes
I
to
think
1.
it would go, yeah.
So my thought process is LSU, for $50 million, let's just say, let's throw that number. For $50 million for the conference, not even just the team, not even just the program.
Right, because it's shared, yes.
Shared between 14 teams, however they do it, is not worth for Orgeron.
No,
or that school.
Got it.
Because I believe the exposure, the advertising, the marketing, and the endorsement or the apparel endorsements is far greater specifically for LSU if they win a national title, or at least play for one.
Sure.
So for Ed Orgeron and the LSU Tigers, it makes more sense to blow the doors off of Georgia.
Gotcha.
So I will say, long story short,
no, that's good.
No.
I figured you would have a perspective on this. Like
No,
I didn't ask this question to anybody else because I know that you think about things like this. So yeah.
Well, I think because I will always, at least in today's society, I will always hold true to sports as a business now.
Yeah. No, I
and that controls. I mean, we see it in the playoff. They even say what they've come out and said it. What games would attract the most viewers and travelers?
It absolutely matters.
Even at the expense or the cost of better teams.
Yes.
They've come out and said it. It's not like not like I'm tipping their hand in that
right.
spot.
Correct. Agreed.
So that's fair. I mean, that's a good question actually. I actually believe it would be counter. I think it's a lot more positive for LSU singularly to win a national title and not have to play Ohio State until the big one.
Yeah, the avoidance of Ohio State really is a thing.
But no disrespect to Clemson. I mean,
No.
I'm not saying if I had the choice, I'd rather play Clemson.
100%. Yeah, I don't see any team that would argue that.
And the title game this year is in Tampa,
New Orleans. I thought.
New Orleans.
Oh, maybe it's no. You could be right. You could be right.
Oh,
Tampa.
I just closed the browser.
You could be right. Actually, I remember seeing Raymond James somewhere. Maybe that was it.
Championship.
I mean, that was it. Yes.
Game. Location. There we go. Let's see what we got here. National championship is in the Superdome. You are correct.
Oh, okay.
You are correct. I was incorrect.
Right.
Now it's happened twice. It's still weird. All right. Well, let's put a bow on that. That's a good place to wrap it up there. I always love to throw on my tinfoil hat.
Oh, think about it, Coach O, though.
The thing is, I haven't
national
been able to throw off my tinfoil hat because UCF had a quote-unquote down year at 9-3.
Yeah, how can you be an undefeated team every year?
Dude, they've gone 11-0, 11-0, and 9-3. I'm ecstatic.
Of course,
even though they're not in the New Year's Six Bowl.
Of course.
Or playing in the conference title game. Well, I'm just saying it because UCF Twitter, there are some fuckfaces that were like calling for Heupel's head. I mean, the guy is literally 31-4 in his 3 years as coach.
A lot of injuries this year, too.
A lot of injuries. I mean, they were calling for his head after losing LSU. I mean, calm your tits.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yep.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. Let's thank the sponsors, of course. 12-Ounce Sports Radio, where we air every Friday evening, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. Obviously, Friday and Saturday are NCAA, where I can't wait to listen to Saturday morning to how we did in the Pac-12 championship analysis.
That's true, yeah.
And then Sunday mornings, obviously, our NFL picks, where we add on to our season-long contest that Token has already been all but eliminated from. Although he did have a decent week. We'll talk more about that.
He had a very
Sunday.
nice week, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Seat Giant, promo code 12-Ounce Sports for discounted theater, concert, and sporting event tickets. Any thoughts, any parting shots for championship weekend that you'd like the fans to know?
Yeah, I mean, just don't sleep on these Group of Five, championships. I know that all the hype comes from the Power Five, and I can sometimes be, as you affectionately say, a washer. But I'm not.
Not just any washer.
No, I'm not. I am a lot of things
washer.
that people may say, but I'm absolutely not a Power 5 ball washer.
The more I've gotten to know you, you're not. I mean, when we had the UCF conversations, I
was just honest with my belief.
Fair. Yeah, you were fair with your belief.
Yeah.
You're wrong, but you're fair.
Well, exactly. That's fine. Yes, but no, I think that, as you said, I mean, the Cincinnati-Memphis game should be a very, very good game. I mean, Lafayette and Appalachian State. I mean, those are two really good teams. So. Yeah, I just don't sleep on these smaller games.
That's fair.
Yeah. I think it'll be a really good weekend. I'm with you. I think this is an underrated weekend for sports, especially as the NFL starts rounding into form here with the playoffs. I think it's a great weekend. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Fair enough. I would say the same thing. Yeah, like I said, I'm looking forward to the American, even though UCF's not in it. And my dad, growing up, he always taught me a slogan to live by regarding, like I said, you have your opinion. opinions are like assholes. Everyone has one, but you really never want to hear from it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess we have a podcast, so I don't have a choice.
Doesn't mean anybody wants to hear from us. We do this for fun
true.
and hope you enjoy. And again, if you tail us, you win. And if you fade us, we hope you lose.
Yeah.
So with that being said, without further ado, I want to thank Tony Johnson. Obviously for being here in studio, and thank Token Tony for not being here in studio, because this podcast would have been another 2 hours with nonsensical information that could go either way, and like he likes to say. All right, that being said, I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening, and again, stay tuned on Sunday for our NFL Picks podcast. We are out.